She was right. I have jokingly, which I actually think I might do, is make shirts that says I stayed sober through 2020. I can wear that like a badge of honor, because how many haven't? I've seen people with long-term recovery go back out. I've seen people, just were getting into it, recovery, and then go back out. I mean, I've been to funerals for people that have committed suicide, that have had, or died by suicide, that had a substance use disorder. So these are, it was very real to me, not having that connection. And what do you do? How do we build it up? And, as I like to say, I think how things are with Zoom meetings. I had a friend, and she was older, and she was like, I don't like the Zoom stuff. Da, 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 da. And we basically said, well, get over it. I mean, you'll go to any lengths for your recovery, right? Don't tell me that. Okay, you're right. I'll do that. Well, I talked to her about a month ago, and she's like, well, I gotta get off the phone with you. I have a meeting in Italy. I was like, oh, snap. You're going to Italy? Like, that's not a good idea. She's like, no, over Zoom. And I said, do you speak Italian? And she's like, no. But it's the same traditions. It's the same things that we talk about. So I can follow in Italian. And even though I can't understand the words they're saying.
Does that count then?
No, and she's like, I can understand the emotion that's coming through.
Oh, absolutely.
And just being part of that. And there was enough people to speak English that I could have a share, even though they're reading like how it works in Italian, she was reading it along, in English. Like, it still was the same. And how cool is that? And I like to say, shout out to everybody that's keeping this alive. The founder of AA, Bill Wilson, he'd be really proud of us.
Yeah.
I think that we keep this going, go to any lengths for our recovery. And it's great. And things for recovery for me means, I was asked this question, like, what doors have opened for you since you've gotten into recovery? Well, the door to my own prison opened that I had inside of me. I was locked in a prison of my own making. Talk about, I've been to hell. I didn't have to die to be to hell. Like, I was living in hell every single day. And when I decided that I wanted to stay, I wanted to be in recovery, I had the willingness, and I had that choice, and I could make that. And that, that's what I did. I opened that door to my own prison. It took a little while, and it wasn't just AA. It was really great therapy. And my willingness to really engage in it. Like, as I told my therapist, I'm going to be the best client you've ever had. You're going to be like, oh, she's the poster child for everything that, mental wellness. She's the poster child for it. I'm like, so expect greatness from me, because I want to do best. I still have alcoholic thinking, right? So I'm like, outdo everybody because I'm unique. So, but that's how it was. I just took it with that intention, and I've been able to go through so much. I have a history of trauma in my life, and I've been able to, I don't want to say the word deal with that, but be able to come to peace with that, and come to peace with things within myself. And I think there's two things that recovery. I mean, outside, I don't want to say the obvious. I'm a better mother now. My daughter was 10 when I got sober. Thank God she wasn't a year later, 2 years later, because she wouldn't have had anything to do with me. I mean, let's face it, my ex-husband would have taken her away by then. If I still was going. But regardless, I would have lost my daughter. So it happened perfectly. I still had my daughter. She's very involved with my recovery. She has told me in the past. So she's like, I think you need to go to a meeting, Mom. And and I've told her in the past, like, if you hear me say, I don't need the meeting, I really need a meeting. Mm-hmm. So I got to get to one. She's like, Mom, I think you really need a meeting tonight. I was like, I don't need a meeting. She's like, Mom. I'm like, oh, you really think so? She's like, yeah, you just seem kind of tense. So I was like, all right, I get in the car, I travel to the meeting, which is a little longer to way to get to where we're at. I'm at the meeting. It was a great meeting. I actually really, I needed it. I didn't realize it. I was like, oh, wow, that's great. My God, my daughter is so you're so smart, Lily, the whole way home. I'm like, she's so in tune. She's got my back. I love my kid. She recognizes things in me. I open the door and she's like, Mom, how you doing? How was your meeting? I said, it's good. She's like, well, I know you can't tell me what you discussed there, but, was it good for you? Were you moved? I'm like, I was, Lily. And, I'm really, thanks for letting me know that I may need a meeting. She's like, yeah, I just looking out for you, Mom. Hey, Mom, can we go see Hamilton? And I was like, you little shit. I said, I'll give you this one time because that was very clever. You do it again, like, yeah, not going to fly. So that's just a little side note. You know, having that relationship with my daughter, too, where she can joke to me or do that to me, and I'm not like, my God, like doom and gloom, like, I can't believe you did that. You hurt my feelers. That blah, 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 blah. How dare you manipulate me like that? And, you know, it is what it is. I have a relationship with my parents that was very rocky, especially with my father. And I have to say that where my father and I now is the best place we've ever been in. So it's really cool. But the things for me that recovery brought to me, which I didn't realize when I was getting in there, it's a disco up in the studio right now with the lights.
Oh no, that's just Jesus.
That's just Jesus. Thank you, Jesus.
Ooh, 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 I didn't even do anything.
Well, I was just about to talk about one of the things that brought to me, and that's my spirituality. That's my connection with God. And that has really grown for me in ways that I didn't know was possible. I was always like good with God. We rolled together. I was like, hey, God. And I was like, oh, well, you're just doing your thing. I'm just doing my thing. Like, we'll come back together, you know. It was having that switch that, you know, my higher power is with me the whole time. Mm-hmm. I like to call him my higher power, God. So God was with me the whole time, and just being able to, you know, remain in constant contact with him, with spirit, for me is really, really important to me. And it's brought so much new life to me. I see things much differently. I mean, and it all started with just the practice of gratitude, writing down 3 gratefuls a day. And somebody had told me gratitude is a happiness recognized. So you're like, that makes me happy. I'm grateful for, you know, your blinky lights. I'm grateful for Jesus bringing himself into the podcast. Mm-hmm. You know, thank you.
He does it.
One love, brother.
Yeah.
Last time the woman sitting in that very chair, when she started to talk about God and started having again, I was like, what do you know?
Yeah.
Very true.
Story. So,
That's
happened.
That's really cool.
Crazier things have happened.
Well, that's just pretty cool. That's
really
pretty
is.
cool. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say crazy. I mean,
yeah, and before I could even do anything with which does nothing.
Yeah.
Because it's
You just like to feel in control
I
by
was just
picking
like,
up your
let
phone.
me see what we can do. And then,
Okay. Right on.
Bring up God, acknowledge him. He just want to be acknowledged, you know.
I shout out to Jesus. Yes, brother. One love. You know, so for me, that spirituality has been just so great. And it's led me to something that I didn't, and this is just recent with me. You know, I'm coming up about 5 years in recovery in July. You know, I'm still not there, one day at a time. But that shift that comes back that we were talking about, you know, there's where I was early on in recovery to where I am now. I mean, even just in the last year, my goals that I had to where I am now are different. You know, and they talk about, you know, long-term recoveries, they say 5 years. After you've made 5 years of long-term recovery, chances of you going back out are 15%. Well, it's very true that, you know, you just have this huge mental shift, this huge thing that's going on. And, you know, getting deeper and deeper into my therapy and just really being able to pull things out. Like, I really need to work on this because this could lead me to drink and drug, right? Mm-hmm. And also, too, I just don't want to carry that baggage with me. So I know recently a big part of what I realized I had to do was learn how to forgive myself. Mm-hmm. You know, I could forgive everybody else, but I couldn't forgive myself. And then it posed the question, am I really forgiving other people? You know, and so I went on a pretty spiritual, trip. I hate to call it a trip or vacation, but it was very spiritual out in Colorado. Spending the time in Colorado, like hiking in the mountains where I got to stay. It was these people owned 22 acres. And it was right up that butted up to the foothills of the Rocky Mountains there. I mean, some of them were. I mean, it's just to national parks and state parks. And, I mean, I'd go up there and climb. I spent 2 hours meditating in an old Indian cave that we found that never had been found before. Like, well, at least by the people that live there or, you know, obviously not by me. It was my first time there. So I was like, look, Indian cave. And, you know, meditating in there and just being so in touch with, you know, the quietness, which we don't get a lot in our lives, and just being out there and turning the phone off.
When did you take that trip?
About...
Was it August?
No, it was about a month ago.
Oh, I was going to say, August is when bears will kill you.
Yeah, well, we had bear mace and guns with us.
Bear mace, that's a joke.
Yeah, we really did.
But the bear will eat you.
Yes, he will eat you. Yeah,
Like,
you're like,
bears, they do that. We watched a movie about it.
Yeah.
Brother, the least of our worries were the bears. The Sasquatch, that's a
There
whole
you
different
go.
story. Like, I'm serious. There was some true Sasquatch things going on, but yeah. That's a whole different podcast. Yeah, seriously.
His eyes get all big. when you talk
Around
about
here, we
Sasquatch.
call it Squatch.
Squatch. Actually, if you use the Native American, it's Beguijanini. And he's a spirit that helps to bring his people to safety. So I called them Beguijanini not to piss them off because they're like, Sasquatch, Sasquatch. I'm like, dude, he's like, don't call him Squatch. I mean, like, give the guy a dude name. It's like Beguijanini. So at least that's what I like to say. Just part of my spirituality.
I just want to throw this out there. If anybody's interested, I can get some what's it called? Bujiquini?
Beguijanini.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
I can get those hunting license for $100. So if you need one,
For Beguijanini.
yep,
Yeah.
you hit the donation page, send in $100. I will mail you a hunting license for one of those.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and it's real, people.
Yeah.
It's real.
And it'll be good in Colorado for an extra $200. So it'll be $300 total. And I can get you taken care of. I know people out there, too. They'll know exactly where to take you. And, Laura, you know people, too.
Yeah, I do.
In that hidden cave.
And then it wasn't the hidden cave. There wasn't a Sasquatch. That's just the whole Beguijanini / Squatch story is a different podcast for another time.
Okay.
I'm just throwing it out, just saying.
But I say that my recovery, contempt prior to investigation, that's the human condition I suffered from. And, right? So I now got over that, and you can ask a very special person in my life how I felt about Sasquatch, and they'll be like, oh, she was like, yeah, screw Sasquatch. You're an idiot for watching all these shows. And then it's like, okay, dude, there's Sasquatch. She's like, I told you. Like, he didn't care about my trip. He's like, Sasquatch, I want to hear all about that first. So, with true story, it's pretty awesome. That will be another podcast for another time.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Hey, mail in or donate $400, and we will give you a personal email with the podcast about the Sasquatch.
Yes, that sounds great. I hope I get a cut of that.
And we're still looking for that first $1 million donation.
Yes.
Again, that gives you an autographed picture of my cat and a 217 Recovery hoodie
Nice.
that I will make special.
Out of gold,
Sure.
or at least bedazzled.
I'll make it special. Yep. $1 million. The first one. It's still out there, so.
Okay. It won't have Nico's pee on it, will it?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, good.
I think we'll pass on that.
Okay, that's probably a good idea.
I'll make it real special, though. And, who knows how long that's going to last, that offer out there. So,
No.
once the first $1 million is donated, that offer's gone. So
Right on.
don't let that pass you by.
Don't let that pass you by, all you millionaires out there. Jeff Bezos, if you're listening,
Yep.
really,
Autograph.
it's a good
Nicholas.
write-off. Even
Pretty-
though you're not taxed much anyways.
Pretty cute cat.
With a cute cat.
Yeah, you like it. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
But so I wanted to ask you a question, too.
Yes.
You mentioned earlier about you still remember that day you were in the bar,
Yeah.
and it was the Monday or whatever, and you were doing shots early and the pool was free.
Yes.
Do you have a memory like that of one of the last times you used where you realized or drank that it were just like, this isn't even fun. This isn't what that was supposed to be.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I remember, cheersing with people at the bar and being like, here's to being alcoholic. Just drinking, It's like, what else do I do? Everything sucks, so at least I can be drunk through it. Yeah, I had a lot of those, especially with my pills. I'd have to go to the doctor to get them, and I just be like, I'm going to go to that doctor, but I'm not going to get the prescription. I'm going to tell him I'm done. And then I get in there, I'm like,
Well, since I'm here.
yeah, since I'm here, give a prescription. I'm not going to fill it. Okay, I'm going to get the fill. I'm going to fill it. I'm going to tell them for, instead of 90 Dilaudid, here for 45 Dilaudid for the month. I don't know. I get the 90. Okay, this is going to last the whole time. That was gone in 10 days. Seriously. That's just how it was. And I just remember, going up to, getting it filled. I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be doing this. And I did it. And that's part of the shame. One of the things I'm in recovery from is shame. Mm-hmm. For sure. And, shame is the thing that kept me drunk and high most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But so you went to the doctor and you got them and you started feeling that, oh, I shouldn't be doing this, shouldn't. And you took them and then were you like, It's not even. Thing like, are we like, okay?
Yes,
So
I'd take them and be like, man, I gotta take